Good evening and welcome everyone to our July 26th meeting of the Middletown School Board. I would ask Mr. Bertram to call this meeting to order.
I'd be happy to. Mrs. Snow?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Here.
And Dr. Urso is excused this evening.
Okay. If we would all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. The flag's over here. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Our first item this evening is approval of the agenda. Mr. Bertram, if you can take care.
Motion in a second.
Oh, that's right. Will someone make a motion for that?
So moved.
And a second. Okay, thank you. My chair just immediately went down. Okay.
Mrs. Snow?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
And Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes. Okay. We have one request from Mrs. Adrian Scher to speak to us, and our rules are that you may speak for 3 minutes and talk fast. Where do I go? Right up here. Right up here.
Come on up. Thank you.
All right. You're dangerous if you give me a microphone. Anyway, my name is Adrian Scher, and I've been about Middletown all of my life. I was a student here, as was my husband. My children were raised in Middletown school system, and now my grandchildren are being raised in Middletown school system. And two of my favorite educators in the whole world used to teach here, but they've moved to different parts of the world and are teaching elsewhere. I, however, have been talking to adults all the time when they've been teaching students. And the subject matter I'm going to talk about today is what is going on in our community right now with drugs that are legal and dangerous and available to our students overnight. You can order them in the morning on Amazon and have a party that evening with all the drugs I'm going to chat about today. In 1987, I became a substance abuse professional, and when the Bureau of Workers' Compensation started their drug-free safety programming for everybody who was being paid with state or federal money, they had to have a drug-free workplace program that involved education. And that's when I really got interested in all of this, and I've been talking about it ever since. Never have we been in peril like we are in peril now. For teens today, they're confused because of all the conversation about recreational versus medical marijuana and the products that have been generated while all that conversation is going on and is available all on the internet are such things as gummies that look just like the vitamin gummies that the children take every day, pretzels, cheese curls, butter that you can use to cook with that's got marijuana, got the THC in it, oil in it. I can tell you horrific stories about things that have occurred because anybody who's ever smoked weed knows that as soon as you smoke it, you get high. But when you eat it, it has to go through your stomach, then process through your liver, and you don't get high for a while. So what is wrong now is teenagers eat a gummy or a bag of pretzels, they don't get high, so they eat another and another, and then they're in the emergency room overdosed. One of the students in one of my son's classrooms fell out of his desk, absolutely in total panic, screaming he couldn't breathe, he was rigid. My son thought he was having a seizure. He had eaten a gummy that was titled The Star of Death. Part of what was going on with him is What do you think's going to happen to you if you eat something called the star of death? And then suddenly you fall out of your desk. So these are, that particular gummy he ate is 75 milligrams of THC. If you are going to eat your very first gummy, let me advise you not to go above 5 milligrams. So think what that child did to himself with the star of death. The problem is because of all the non-damning chatter about medical and recreational marijuana, everybody's confused about whether it's going to show up in a drug test or it's not, and it is.
I'm sorry, but I have to stop you. I know we could go on. This could be an entire meeting.
Okay, but I'm going to just tell you about 3 other drugs that are out there and show you a picture of, show you one. This drug right here, you can see advertised when you drive down Central in big white letters at the tobacco shop. This is Kratom. I ordered this online for a free sample and received it in 24 hours. On the bottom it says, not for minors. This is as hard to get off of as heroin. It goes to the exact same receptor in your brain. Magic mushrooms are back. I have gone online and ordered magic mushroom capsules today from Amazon with the promise that I will have them tomorrow. They are illegal in the state of Ohio. Illegal. So we also have Delta 8, Delta 9, and Delta 10. That's really just THC that has been taken from hemp plants. And you'll see signs in the windows of convenience stores that say that they sell it. I'm going to leave up here a copy of my 2-hour training class that I'm providing now. I'm going to leave some copies of the handouts up here for you. It has all my contact information on it. I want teachers to know what they're looking at in their classroom. I want parents to know that smelling your kid's breath is passe and silly. And I'll leave some of my business cards as well so that anybody can find me. And in case you're confused about what a magic mushroom looks like, they look like mushrooms you eat every day, but they aren't like anything you ever ate before. It's like taking LSD. So, 2 hours is what I usually take. I'll get out of your hair.
Thank you. No, thank you very much. And your information, we're all aware of what's going on with these children, and it is the most frightening thing for a teacher to be in a classroom and have something like that happen. I think we all need to know. I think parents definitely need to know. I think this would be a wonderful thing to City Council to take to City Council so that citizens in Middletown need to know how prevalent this stuff is. We're kind of aware of it, but I don't think parents realize convenience stores and gas stations and all these places that they let their kids run into real quick for a snack have all kinds of things in there that they don't know about.
They absolutely
Right.
do.
So-
And if you happen to be downtown, the window of my office has a man with a megaphone that says, "Now hear this." And every day I post something else up there about some other news about the drugs.
Thank you for bringing that information and your referral material to us. Thank you very much.
All right.
We appreciate you coming. Okay. We have a special celebration tonight. We are going to release one of our board members, Mrs. Mulligan. Very regretfully, she has decided to resign, and it's not a happy day for me, but I'm happy that she's going to have some rest because she's a hard worker. So I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Mulligan to speak to us.
Thank you. My teleprompter is not working, so I'm going to read the first part of what I have to say here. So if you'll excuse me for reading. I'm resigning my seat on the Middletown City School District Board of Education effective July 31st. This is my last school board meeting. I'm resigning because of progressing physical symptoms of Parkinson's disease. These symptoms limit my ability to continue in the active and dedicated manner the position deserves. During my tenure, I've been proud to serve the district as a board member, board vice president, member of the policy committee, and a member of the district committee, district leadership team, and I only fell asleep once, I think, during a meeting. My career in education began with a teaching fellowship in graduate school. Those were the days of slide rules and trig tables. It's hard to believe that 60 years have passed since then, during which I've had the opportunity to share my love of education and to be involved in education in many ways. When I was first working, I was teaching, and I thought of it as an opportunity to share my love of mathematics with other people, my high school and college students, and that was my take on education, my interpretation of what education was all about. But over the years, it's changed. I've seen many aspects of education, including teacher training, teaching the teachers. As an administrator, I had to make sure that teachers were collaborating with each other, were communicating, were getting the things that they needed. So over the last 30 years, as a matter of fact, technology has altered the way we teach and the curriculum that we deliver, and that's something that I've survived, and I've helped a few other people through that. So that's another aspect of education. Moving on, I'm going to miss my fellow board members. Seeing things through their eyes is very helpful. We're a mixed group of people, and it's good that we don't all think alike and that we all have different ways of expressing ourselves. I wish these dedicated people, whom I respect very much, I wish them best of luck in their work to inspire, unite, and transform the district into a high-performing education system whose dedicated teachers prepare every student for his or her future through the implementation of our Passport to Tomorrow plan. I'm announcing my resigning tonight. It actually takes place, it's effective July 31st. So this is my last meeting, and hence the flowers. Thank you very much for it. I'm grateful to the Middletown voters for allowing me to have this experience, kind of the last chapter in a 60-year process of learning what different aspects of education. And this one of being on the school board is certainly an important one, and I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to serve and get that take on education. Education is everywhere, and it has so many different facets, it's hard to comprehend. And I've had a privilege of seeing many of those facets, the current one being my last one probably, as a member of the school board. So thank you, Middletown, for allowing me to hold this position, and I'm going to miss it somewhat. But I realize that the time has come. So I thank you, and thank you for the flowers. That's all. Thanks.
So Dr. Urso couldn't be with us this evening. However, he did send a message, Kathy, that he'd like to share with you during his absence. So I'd like to read that.
Sure.
Okay. So on behalf of the Middletown City School District Board of Education, we want to express our heartfelt thanks and appreciation to Kathy Mulligan as she retires from the Middletown City School Board after 7 years of exemplary service. Unfortunately, I'm unable to attend this evening's meeting, but I want to emphasize my deep gratitude for Kathy's outstanding contributions. Throughout her tenure, Kathy has demonstrated unparalleled dedication, intelligence, and thoughtfulness in her role. Her hard work and commitment have been instrumental in driving positive changes and ensuring the highest standards of education for our community. Kathy's thoughtful nature has been a cornerstone of her approach to decision-making. She consistently took the time to ruminate on the various issues and challenges facing our schools, carefully considering all perspectives before arriving at well-reasoned conclusions. This reflective quality, combined with her keen intellect, enabled her to navigate complex situations with grace and effectiveness. Kathy's intelligence and insight have been invaluable assets to the board. Kathy's ability to analyze data, understand intricate policies, and foresee the long-term impacts of decisions has greatly benefited our school system. Notably, she has been a champion for improving math instruction in our schools, advocating for strategies and programs that have significantly enhanced students' mathematical skills and comprehension. Her efforts have ensured that Middletown schools are not only meeting but exceeding expectations. Moreover, Kathy's hard work and tireless dedication have left an indelible mark on our community. She has been an unwavering advocate for students, teachers, and parents alike, always striving to create an environment where everyone can thrive. Her legacy of thoughtful, intelligent, and hardworking service will be remembered and appreciated for years to come.
That's very nice, thank you.
It was yes, it was. Yep, so that was from Dr. Urso, since he couldn't be with us this evening.
These 60 years have just flown by.
It's amazing. They always say if you blink, right?
Yeah.
Blink, the time flies by.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
thank you.
Can we comment now? Sure. Okay, so of course, I'd like to say something, Kathy. So you and I go back since I've been here, right? This is my 16th year here, and shoot, Kathy, we worked together on Success by Six, on different committees. Before you accepted your role on the Board of Education. So when I heard that you were going to be one of our board members, just your passion for children is priceless, right? Every decision you make, children are at the end of your decisions. So what you've brought to us in the city of Middletown City Schools and the district is just that passion, that drive, the love for children. I know you're only right down the street. You get to see, I'm going to be missing seeing you every other week.
Yeah.
But I do know you're right down the street. We are neighbors, right?
Yeah.
So even though you're not attending board meetings, we do know where you are, right down the street. So we're going to miss you. You're welcome back anytime. Once a middie, always a middie. So please feel free. Come back, join us during a board meeting. We'd love to see you.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you, yes. I'm
We're
gonna
gonna miss you.
I'm going to miss everybody. Yeah.
I just want to say a couple words about Kathy. I started my journey in education about 12 years ago. During that time, I met Deb Hauser. One of the first folks that I met in the community engaged in education was Kathy Mulligan. And that was her work on Success by Six. Then I worked with her during the Ready campaign, the kindergarten readiness efforts, which many of those efforts now have gone and been implemented here in the district. And then we've served together for the last 7 years. It's been a pleasure to work with you, Kathy. It truly has. And one of the things that, if anyone has worked with Kathy in this community, you know that she's always kept our kids and community in mind and in her heart. And her recent contributions over the last 7 years, particularly championing reading and math, and I emphasize the math emphasis here in the district, it truly has been a big push on our behalf. The advocacy has been right here with Kathy Mulligan. She's been a big part of making some of the changes here in this district. So I just want to say, Kathy, I'm not sure what you're going to do with all this extra free time that you have now, but it truly has been really a pleasure and honor to work with you.
Oh, thank you, Todd.
Oh,
Do you want to say anything, Holly?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that even though it's only been a very short amount of time, I have learned so very much from you, Kathy. I have enjoyed working with you. Losing you from the board is definitely going to, be memorable. But everything you have done so far is even more memorable. I very much enjoyed just learning so much from all of your education, all of your insight in just the short amount of time that I've been here. And you will very much be missed.
Thank you, Todd.
And I'm going to take a little different tack on this one, because my history with Kathy is a little bit different. there's a lot of talk about hometown heroes. This little lady right here to me is a hometown hero. This is a lady who was born in Middletown, I think.
Yes.
Grew up in Middletown, met her husband, married, and raised their family in Middletown. But before that, when she was a sweet young thing, right out of high school, this girl, who was 15 years old and not the most confident math person in the world, heard that this lady was coming to teach my geometry class, and the drums were beating about what a wizard she was in math. Believe me, it was terrifying. She was amazing, absolutely amazing. So I knew her as a student in high school. I knew her as a student at Miami. My children knew her as a principal and a vice principal, and I've known her now as a colleague on the Board of Education. It has been the pleasure of my life to work with you. And if I told her, please, can I carry you in? I'll bring you on my back. But I have to respect her wishes to retire at this time. And I'm going to miss you like crazy. But we decided we're going to go look at the ducks at Smith Park once in a while. We'll go get
There you
something
go.
to eat and go out
Yeah,
there.
my new hobby.
So my feelings come from deep, deep down for Kathy in ways that go way, way, way
Well,
back.
thank you for putting up with me and my walker when you give me a
Oh,
ride here and there. You're just a
We
real,
are hilarious.
real
We're
wizard
like
with-
frickin' frack together.
Yeah, well,
Thank
it's
you.
been good.
Thank you.
And
So-
and Kathy, as just finishing up my 10th year here in Middletown, my first interaction with you was in the fall of 2014, where as a new treasurer, superintendent said, Randy, I think it'd be a good idea if you go to the Middletown Community Foundation annual dinner. I'm there. So Dr. Ison and I went to that dinner and having a good old time at the dinner, and then this little lady gets up and starts speaking. And I just hear one bomb after another bomb in jokes, and you were hilarious. I found you the funniest woman that I've probably ever known. You were...
Did I tell about when I had two different shoes on my feet at an
Yes.
important meeting?
Yes, yeah, it was, you were outgoing chair, so you were giving your little spiel on your way out,
Oh, yeah.
and it was hilarious, and I looked at Sam, I said, I don't know who that is, but I'm gonna meet her tonight. And it just so happened, that was the same night that we did the heads and tails, my first night
Oh, yeah.
really in Middletown, and I won, if you remember correctly, tossing that coin up, is there 16 or 17 times in a row that I got that thing right. Never been luckier in my life. I owe that to you probably. And that's where our relationship started. I did come out, I introduced myself. Of course, you thanked me for the donation, returning the money, and you said to me, not that many people are smart enough to know whatever you win, you get back. But I did happen to know that, and I did that automatically for the Dolly Parton book fair that she does, book program. And then we served together on the Middletown Arts Center board.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that was from 2015, 2019, where I got to know you a little better. And I remember you coming up to me, asking me about this school board position. And I was like, yes, we'd love to have you because of your knowledge. And it has been tremendous. I've enjoyed every minute with you. And,
Well, it's been a joy and a learning experience to work with lots of different people and to get to know them and where they're coming from with their ideas and needs and opinions. We've been a very cohesive group, and I'm sure that my replacement will continue to cohesive.
okay, but will they ruminate?
Oh, well, that's
Not
hard.
like
That
her.
might be unique to you.
Not like her.
Yes, but it's been a pleasure, Kathy, and we've all enjoyed you so much, and we wish you the best. We don't want you to be a stranger.
Okay, thank
Very good.
Keep up the good work, everybody.
Okay. Okay, with that, you've heard enough adulation, right? Okay, we're going to take a moment and we're going to celebrate with a treat that was brought in for you. So if you will join us over here for cake and something to drink, I think.
And some pictures.
Right over
Take
here.
some
And
pictures.
of course.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, thank you. Yes, this is audience participation here.
Yep, we'll need a motion and a second to accept Kathy's resignation.
Okay. All right, we're back in session. Everybody's had their cake and punch. And we would like to have a motion to approve Kathy's resignation and a second, please.
So moved to accept Kathy's resignation.
Second.
You can call the vote.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
I don't know.
Mrs. Shivert,
Yes.
Mrs. Snow,
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan.
Okay. All right, our next bit of information is our presentation on the Middletown High School redesign. And we have Mrs. Carrie Hensley here to lead us in this discussion.
I gotta find it.
That's okay. So while you're finding that, Randy, I'd just sort of like to, we've been working on Middletown High School redesign. It's part of our strategic vision, and it's the next step in our strategic vision, right? We started with K-5, we went to 6-8, but the entire time, excuse me, we've also been planning for high school redesign. So that's what they're going to share with you tonight. Really, over the past year, we've had a presentation earlier this year, and I know there are many board communications about what's going on with our high school redesign. Really pretty exciting. Some of the things that we're planning for children and students at the high school, and that's what they're here to share with you tonight. So an update, and it's also an opportunity for you to ask questions. Okay, guys, take it away.
So I'm going to give us an overview of, Mr. Moore, do you want us to move those flowers? I know, it's kind of like, he's trying to see me.
We
That's
should have the
okay.
boys take them on.
I can move them.
So I'll give us an overview of a timeline, what all we've been doing, and what's to come for this next school year. And then Megan Davidson is going to go and give us a really cool bird's eye view into a pilot and how that's going at the ground level at the high school. Let me find the little mouse. I thought I was there. There we go. Okay, so year-over-year review. So we have been doing this a little over a year now. So I'm just going to kind of high level go over what has happened last year, what's going to happen this school year, okay? So to start with, we have had many field trips, and these field trips are adult field trips where we have went to local school districts, we have done regional school districts, and have traveled to Colorado to visit some extremely innovative school districts. So doing lots of research over the last year. We have some initial pilots that have been occurring at our high school. There's an ELA pilot, a math pilot, a culture pilot, a common grounds pilot that you're going to hear about more, and an experiential learning pilot. We've had a multitude of meetings, and that's not even close to painting a picture of it. We have weekly meetings with groups, bi-weekly meetings, monthly meetings. Admin are involved, teachers are involved. Our ILO consultant group are highly involved. We examine progress frequently based on our pilots that are going on. We are planning next steps in our meetings frequently. We've had a second design retreat. Before we started, back at the end of 2023, we had an initial retreat to what are our goals, what do we want to look for, and make our plan. So we've had now a second retreat. At that second retreat, we have expanded past just the BLT at the high school and the fourth floor admin. We have included more teachers, so we're broadening, we're casting that wider net and bringing more people in. We got an MOU approved by the union to do a pilot schedule that we're going to talk about. We've had ODU visits. So it was ODE, now it's ODU because the W is with the workforce. We have had them here twice now, and they are walking through all the way from elementary to the high school, getting very detailed information about what our K-5 program looks like, how we moved it to 6-8, and what our vision is for the high school. We look to ODU a lot. We have lots of other meetings with them where we're also picking their brain on where they're going. 24-25, so we're getting ready to start. We're going to have some new modernized courses. some of those courses. There's a Admitting Common Grounds course that Megan's going to talk about. We have a new agriculture class. We have a new forensics class. And our second round of cybersecurity. So cybersecurity will go cybersecurity 1, 2, and 3. So we'll roll that up each year. We have 2 additional counselors in the counseling department. That is one of the big things that during our research is we have to make sure we have support for teachers to support all the different areas. My USA Credit Union, one of our partners, is working very closely with us. It's been a lot of work, but we are opening a branch in Middletown High School. We have a schedule pilot. As I mentioned, we had an MOU with the union. The schedule pilot, there's going to be 2 phases. In the fall, there's going to be a 6-week phase, and in the spring, there's going to be a 3-week phase. The phase is going to look like Monday, Tuesday, Friday will be their straight 8 classes, like a typical day. Tuesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday. Actually, it's yeah. Monday, Tuesday, it's Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, sorry. I have my days wrong. Those are going to be block days. And basically, the purpose of doing a block schedule and practicing that is for the experiential learning. There's going to be a lot of PD that we are really working on building right now to help staff on what does it look like, feel like, sound like in a 90-minute block, including experiential learning. We have a PD plan. So the PD is going to support experiential learning. It's going to support block teaching, and it's going to help us align standards with the workforce. We will have a new course of study that will be presented for next school year as we continue to refine and get that together. And we will have experiential learning as part of our everyday process with PD and dedicated funding. The student experience. So what will look or feel different for students? They're going to have experiential learning opportunities in every class on those block days. And that's what we're putting the PD in place to support teachers to be ready for this. We will experience, or students will experience, a modified schedule, 3 days normal and 2 days block. They will have choice in their field of focus. So as students work their way through our K-12 program, they will start to understand what their interests are, what their strengths are, and they will start to have choice to go into those areas. And they'll have choice to switch if they would like to. We will have online scheduling. We will have access to our business partners and fields that students are interested in. So we've been building already now 100 partners. We're up to almost 85. Up until now, probably the last 6 months, it's been how can we interact with you? Can we bring people there for tours? We are starting, and Megan, I know she's going to talk about this a lot. We are having those organic, authentic relationships where they truly are finding where they can come in and where we can bring our students out to them. So we're bringing that part to life. Sustainability. We used as much ESSER money as we could to purchase base materials for our new courses as they were presented. We have applied for a grant for $1.7 million, and we are hoping that we receive that grant from the state, and that is a career technical education equipment grant. If we are awarded the grant, we have plans to build out a forensics crime scene lab, an up-to-date healthcare lab, a robotics arena, a commerce center, which is the bank and the coffee shop, and lots more entrepreneurship opportunities, a cybersecurity lab, and an agriculture lab, just to start. And also, we will be supporting teacher training and credentialing to implement these new courses throughout that grant if we receive it. Another way for sustainability is we will continue to seek out grant funding to help support our initiatives as we build this out. Our business partners, again, we are finding those organic ways where they can be evolved, and they are really excited to start stepping in and being those stronghold partners throughout this redesign. And staff. We will be aligning staff to their passions. Again, I keep speaking of Megan, going to speak to it, but she has a passion for her pilot, which is why it's coming to life. And we are aligning our teachers to their passions. The person who's doing the agriculture, he has a passion for it. The person in cybersecurity has a passion for it. So our teachers are stepping up and bringing their passions to life through our redesign process. And we will also be doing professional development for all staff to make this sustainable. So I have been talking about Megan's pilot a lot, and it is time for us to hear from Megan. So this is Megan Davidson, teacher at our Middletown High School.
Hi, everyone. As Carrie mentioned, my name's Megan Davidson. I work as an intervention specialist at the high school, and I'm here to talk with you all tonight about Midi Common Grounds, which is our high school coffee shop. And I hope this presentation sort of puts together all of those high points that Carrie mentioned into what we're doing for our students at the high school with school redesign. So first, I'd like to start by sharing with you my initial email to, at the time, Superintendent Stiles on November 23rd of 2021. We had a Thanksgiving event at the high school where Mr. Stiles stopped by and asked if I could change anything at the high school, what would I do? And I'm pretty sure he kind of took on more than he thought he was asking, because I went full force into talking about a coffee shop, an in-school authentic learning environment that we needed post-COVID, because at that time it was super hard to get out into our community with everything that was happening. And that is the email that I sent to him, putting it out there, sending him my dream list, hoping that one day this would take root. And the presentation today is kind of what you're going to see has happened since this email was sent. So I'll start by sharing our vision statement. Now, there are not going to be many slides in this presentation that I'm going to read word for word, but the vision statement is one that I am. So at Common Grounds, our mission is to foster a vibrant school space where all individuals can gather, connect, and belong. Our name embodies our commitment to inclusivity and unity, offering a welcoming haven where diverse perspectives are valued and respected. Through shared experiences, meaningful interactions, and a welcoming environment, we strive to create a common ground where everyone feels accepted, supported, and empowered to be their authentic selves. Join us in building a place where connections flourish, differences are celebrated, and relationships are formed beyond the boundaries of coffee cups. And right here, I really want to take a moment to talk to you about the inclusivity and unity within our vision statement. My background is in special education. I'm an intervention specialist at the high school. And what you're going to see in this presentation is coming from that background of special ed. So you're going to see my students participating in Common Grounds. You're going to see my students participating in an experiential learning day. My hope is that we can all come to the agreement by the end of this presentation that Midi Common Grounds is for every student at the high school, truly emphasizing the inclusivity and unity of the project. And you'll see it's highlighted on that side. So next we're going to talk about our 5-year roadmap. After the vision statement was created, I worked with the ILO consultant group. My mentor, her name was Sabrina. And I had all of these ideas floating in my mind, what I wanted Common Grounds to be, what I wanted it to look like. And I really needed a way to put this on paper so that I could share these thoughts. And that's where the 5-year roadmap came to play. So this was created after the vision statement because I knew I wanted to have Common Grounds open. That was the first kind of important aspect of the coffee shop. But I also knew that I wanted to have a community night at one of our football games. I wanted to have a community night at a basketball game. I wanted this to be a platform for our intervention specialists at the high school to help with transition planning for our students on an IEP. I wanted to make sure that we got the opportunity to show our younger middies, our K-6, now K-8, Passport to Tomorrow classes, to come up and see what the high schoolers are doing, what they have to look forward to. And I always knew that I wanted Common Ground to be more than a coffee shop. I wanted to be a hub, a resource center, somewhere students can go and get the help they need, whether that be a pencil, whether that be someone to talk to for counseling, scheduling their school schedule with a counselor, a hub for the high school for our students to take advantage of. And that's where this roadmap came into play. We very nicely kind of spread things out over the next 5 years. Of course, this first 24-25, this upcoming school year, starting with hopefully our grand opening in August, and putting all of those thoughts to paper. This is my friend Simon. He made one of my favorite drinks, so you can see he was very proud of himself. But this kind of takes us into how do we get that 5-year plan into motion. And that takes us to the modernized course proposal, and Carrie touched a little bit about this in her presentation. But I needed Midi Common Grounds to go into our course of study, and that required me to create a modernized course proposal that I shared with my building principal, Mrs. Cotter, who then shared that with Miss Hensley. And then that was put into the draft of the course of study that was brought to the board and approved for the 24-25 school year. So Midi Common Grounds is a course in our course of study. And just a sweet little memory here, this was the very first frappe that our students made from start to finish. And I just think that that really is just an exciting moment for the project itself. So the next step was developing what were called key performance indicators. This was something very new to me. I did this with my mentor Sabrina with the ILO group. We'll refer to them as KPIs within this presentation. But these were really, KPIs were created as a way to define the project goals and create action steps. So you'll see they were organized for Common Grounds into 3 KPIs: badges, competencies, and seals, school culture, and community integration. And for this presentation, I'm going to focus on community integration. So you'll see here in community integration KPIs, I have 4 major columns, which are the goals for Midi Common Grounds. And under them are the action steps to help reach those goals. So for public access options, I would love to make Midi Common Grounds accessible to the public in our community and also host an annual pop-up event. For experiential learning with local businesses, you'll see later in the presentation we've started this, but I would love, under the hat of Midi Common Grounds, to host internships and job shadow days with our business partners. Community and K-6 engagement, again, bring those younger middies up to show them what they have to look forward to that we offer at Middletown High School. And then sustainability and social media presence. This is a goal and action steps to help continue to grow Midi Common Grounds and to help keep it as a thriving business. So I think it's important to put a few visuals with everything I've talked about so far. So you'll see here on the left-hand side under how it started, this is actually the original concession stand at the high school, and that is where Midi Common Grounds is now. And you'll see there's old cabinetry, there's an old ceramic sink, looks pretty bland in that picture. And if you look to the top picture under how it's going, this is where we are now. Over the summer in June, the health department just signed off on our selling license, so we are ready to go for our grand opening in August. But you can see there's beautiful new equipment. That cabinetry is gone. There's new plumbing, new electric, so we are set and ready to go. But there's a time difference between those 2 photos of about 1.5 years. So we really had to pivot and make sure we were keeping our students engaged in this project during that time. And that's where you'll see photos of our December sale. So the students made ornaments using sublimation. They made tumblers and mugs and magnets. You can see a student packaging those orders. We also had students making dog bones that we're going to sell in the coffee shop. And this bottom picture is the entire group of students that participated in Midi Common Grounds for over the 23-24 school year. And we really hope to grow that number as we move forward. And so when looking at how it started and how it's going, here's a hope for the future for Midi Common Grounds. Now, I started this presentation by telling you that my background is in special education. My hope and my goal with showing you this slide is to really envision what our students at the high school, every student, could do in this space. It's accessible for all students. I can see one of our new counselors scheduling classes with students at that table, sharing a coffee, having an intimate conversation about what the students want to do, career paths they want to go on, future education plans they want to have. I can see a class, an English class, maybe Miss Thompson's English class, coming down here to do a poetry read and simulating what our students could do within our own community. So that's really why I want to share this slide with you. Next up, I want to talk to you about our experiential learning pilot. Ms. Hensley kind of talked about that for a little bit. And the Common Grounds workers participated in a wonderful pilot on February 27th of this year. We went to 2 local businesses. The top picture on the right-hand side is Coffee Caravan. You'll see owner Mark talking to our students about what it takes to be a good employee. And on the bottom, you'll see Big B Coffee, and the owner is Scott. He's one of our business partners, and he's telling students how to properly store coffee. And then what you'll see is students were able to go to both businesses on this experiential learning day, and they participated in a rotation base of activities. And in one of those rotations, I included a Common Grounds activity. So you'll see here where students are sorting tea and sugar, learning organizational skills, sorting, and that took place on our experiential learning day. The students came back, talked about how they had a wonderful time, and it led to even further learning as we were talking about how we're going to thank these businesses for letting us come out. The students decided that they wanted to create a thank you book. It started as a thank you card idea and morphed into a thank you book. So I gathered all the thank you cards that the students had made. We found out that district office actually has a book binder. So we took a trip down to district office, and the students learned how to bind this book. We then delivered it to each business partner, and the students had an extended experiential learning, all just from their own ideas of wanting to say thank you. So this is truly one of the most special parts of our experiential learning day, in my opinion. And on this slide, I really have this up here to show the future possibilities for experiential learning. Some of these we are going to try in the 6 and 3 week pilot of the schedule this coming school year. But at Common Grounds, we want to continue that career exploration and business planning. We've actually talked with the health department about coming in and talking with our students about what it would take to open a business. And going back to Big B Coffee, Scott is very excited in hosting us. But one of the best parts about this is Ms. Hauser invited me to speak on behalf of Midi Common Grounds to our Ready 100 business partners. And when I was giving the presentation about what Midi Common Grounds is, Midpoint Library came up and asked if we would be willing to host a Midi Common Grounds coffee cart at the library so we could have community interaction. And then on top of that, Cliffs came up. The HR director at Cliffs asked us once we got up and running if I would be willing to reach out to him so that we could supply coffee for their business meetings. And what was outstanding about that is those are our business partners coming up with ideas and bringing them to us. So I think our community is ready for this. I know our kids are ready for this. And so I'm excited that Common Grounds is going to continue in this charge and hopefully continue to do wonderful things. So to wrap things up, I just want to talk about a graphic that you all know. It's up in here. But these were our 6 career fields that we have within our strategic plan. And this is how Common Grounds comes to life. So when we're talking about flipping the script and looking at how we are bringing innovation to our students, I think of this 6 career fields chart, and I can see Common Grounds integrated in each of these 6 career fields. For example, someone might say, okay, well, how does that work in health science? Well, we could have our students look at the calories in a drink, doing nutritional labeling for a drink. I already spoke with you in our 5-year plan about how we hope to expand the courses to include marketing and business classes. Another plan in this, the 6 career fields. So this really, I see Common Grounds just throughout here as an authentic learning environment within our school that can tap into each of these fields. And this really has been one of the biggest projects I've ever taken in my time here at Middletown, but it's been one of the most rewarding so far. I'm so thankful that we have had the coaching sessions with the ILO group. That has been so helpful to pull the ideas out and get them in a format that can be shared and presented. Super proud of our accomplishments for the 23-24 year that have set us up for the grand opening for this coming school year. And then also just really planning on our grand opening in August and getting things ready, but keeping in that forefront with our vision statement, unity and inclusivity as the main message of Common Grounds. And that's all I have for you.
So Megan, while you're standing up there are a couple. So there's something that, we work with our business partners, right? School business coming together. So what Megan has accomplished at the high school is the perfect example of school and business coming together. And I'd like Megan to really sort of talk a little bit about that. But Megan, and you set this up beautifully with the Ready Now 100 partners. But we know school. Right, so we know school, we know how to do school. Megan, in her presentations, basically said that. I know school. I know how to teach. The business partner from Scott from Big B Coffee. So Megan's been trying to get that. She shared with you. It started in 2021. We're in 2024. She didn't mention to you all that she learned through the process of opening a business. And it wasn't just Megan that learned that. It was our students also. When the health inspectors came in and said, "Sorry, you're not ready. Sorry, you purchased the wrong equipment." So not only was it Megan, but it was the learning how to fail and keep on going. It took her 3 years, right, to get Megan and her students. But really, it was, and I'll be quiet and let you share. But when Big B Coffee came in, they know business. So that when business is able to work with school, that's where the magic happens. So can you say a little bit about, you did talk about Big B a little bit, can you talk a little bit about how Scott and
Absolutely.
Big B came,
Yeah, very thankful for Big B Coffee here in Middletown. The owner's name is Scott. And it all started when they came into our community as a new business. I thought, what a wonderful opportunity. We are trying to be a newly established business to talk with someone who has just recently gone through opening, working with our city's health department, going through all the steps. He has another location in Springboro, so he's very well versed in what to do and what that entails. And after many conversations, we've talked, our common ground space is long but narrow. And so one of the questions I had was, I don't know how we're gonna fit several students at a time into this space. And he gave great tips and advice. He said our space, even though it's far larger, wider than what we have at Common Grounds, he said that doesn't matter. No matter what, we set up zones. And so we have someone do a certain step in the procedure of whatever the recipe states, and they're required for that zone. So they might do ice for the drink. A different zone might do espresso and syrups for the drink. Another zone might be by the refrigerator, and they're doing, the dairy, creamer, milk, what have you for the drink. And so just opening my eyes to that in particular, I'm sure we would have come up with it at some point, but he helped us not have to reinvent that wheel. He shared that knowledge. When talking about equipment, he was talking about our steamer that we have. It's a very nice steamer, but it goes from automatic to manual, and there are a few different ins and outs. And he was talking about the importance of cleaning that, because the steamer actually will end up sucking up a little bit of milk every time that you turn it on. And so you want to flush that out because you don't want to have that harshness on the equipment. Anyway, that's just an example of a few things he's helped us with, just real world, his
expertise.
business. I mean, he's shared with us the experiences he's gone through. So it's been really helpful for that.
I think it's fascinating. And I can remember a time where, and this has been some time ago, where the thought was bring business people in to educate the children. And that didn't quite work because an educator has different skills. This is a blend of both that works, I think.
Truly.
I commend you on all the work you've done there. I mean, to be persistent and stick with this over the long haul, that is a tremendous amount of work.
And have a 5-year plan after that.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
I think it's wonderful. I just think it's wonderful.
Thank you. I hope it's going to be a wonderful opportunity and continue to be for our students, because that is the main focus
Sure.
of providing our students an outlet within the safety of our school walls, and just showing them what all is out there, starting in our 4 walls, but then all of our business partners that we've come to gather. I mean, they're just flourishing. So.
I think that's, having a cart go here, being able to do this.
And those businesses, the library brought that idea to us. That wasn't something we had to go out and pitch to the library. Cliffs brought that idea to us. I think that just shows how ready our community is to embrace our students. And I think that's truly the beauty of this whole project, is that our community is ready for this. I know our students are ready for this. And it's just a perfect match, I think.
Thank you. I can see the work in that.
Thank you.
It's something else. Thank you.
For the grant that we sent in, and we're still waiting to hear, we had 12 businesses write letters in support of the district to the state.
Yeah.
12.
I was going to say, do you have contingency plans like, we hope we get that grant, but what happens? What's Plan B if that doesn't come through?
There's a couple more that are starting to pop up. We're going to seek out every grant we
Okay.
can. We're going to work with our business partners to see what ideas, but we are going to lean on anyone and everyone that we can.
Good. I think that's the secret.
Yes.
Thank you both. What an exciting time to be a high school student. I think it's wonderful. Thank you.
Does this experience for the students, does it lead to any kind of a badge or credential? Or is it part of the requirements for, a while ago, we were talking about students being graduated with XYZ skills, verification of that.
Yes.
Yes, so absolutely it does. The short answer is yes, and the long answer is that is why we're working so closely with going into those 6 career fields that aligns with our strategic plan. But then it also, I am working with our new counseling team to help see what seals our students can earn for their graduation, the diploma. And so there's a couple different ones that we think are gonna be some low-hanging fruit that our students can take advantage of, the Ohio Means Job Seal, student engagement. But we're looking at the requirements and making sure that the coursework they're participating in and the after-school activities that we're offering, the different games and whatnot, that they're able to earn those seals for their diploma, which is a requirement for graduation.
And teachers are observing them and checking the boxes that they observed a certain.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they're proud, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we paid that Albright people for.
Oh, and that's still
still there.
our hub.
It's all fit together.
Yeah, another thing that I was thinking of and forgot to mention, the idea of a hub for kids. You know, some kids find their own hubs,
Right.
but some of them don't. And every kid needs a hub in high school,
Yes.
every single kid. And thank goodness, that's going to be something that maybe a possible place to bring somebody who hasn't found their spot.
Yes.
I think that's great.
Where'd the name Common Ground come from? It's brilliant.
Well, thank you. It was actually, we pulled a couple different, so our artwork came with working with Kayla Wansnyder at the high school and her graphic arts students and a couple other art classes that she teaches. And it was just kind of a merge of designs. And that was before we actually had a name. And we threw out some different names, but we had a whole group of students vote. And the meaning behind this title is that everyone has something in common. And so we need a common ground to meet at. Also a play on a coffee ground. But our logo is actually 2 coffee grounds split into a heart. But just so, Common Grounds is truly a place where everyone belongs. And that inclusivity and unity that we share in the vision statement is something that we want to highlight, because we really want it to be for all of our students, every student at the high school. No matter your ability, no matter what class you're in, that you have a place at Common Grounds.
I gotta find it.
That's also an example of how, so this is, Megan's pilot and her project, and you can see the business ramifications, but there's art in this also, right? So it's interdisciplinary, right?
Yes.
So it's moving across the different subjects. Also, this is one of the pilots and one of the projects it's an example of where we're going. So you've heard about the bank. So we could have had the bank present tonight. But you're starting to see the big ideas come together where students, and you have to think too, in 25, 26, when students enter, they've had education now around what's available to them, which they've never had before, right? And which our high school students said that to us loud and clear. You have to start early. So now they're entering high school with more of an understanding of workforce, what's available to them, what's required to be successful. And so we thought we'd share this one project with you tonight, the pilot. Yeah.
I'm very impressed that a teacher steps out of her comfort zone because I know how that feels, and just take a leap.
Yes, it's been very eye-opening. I've only ever done education. This is my 8th year teaching. This is my 8th year in Middletown. Before that, I was a camp counselor. So I've only ever done the working with children thing. And so doing this business planning, at one point, Eric and I had to do a schematic map of where everything was laid out in the coffee shop, and my mom and I had to go buy graph paper. Like, I haven't done, those types of things since I was in high school. That was something I have never, thought I would even be doing before. Looking at a point of sale system, how we're taking in money, how we're doing inventory, and all of those things that I'm thinking of now will eventually come from our students. How awesome would it be if our students created their own point of sale system? How amazing is it going to be when our students are calling these manufacturers, ordering supplies for our coffee shop? I mean, there's just so many ways that our students can be involved in this project, and I really hope we get to those deep embedded parts of Mini Common Ground. So,
Well, I commend you for your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thanks, ladies. Awesome. Yeah, super proud of the work. Yep.
Okay, moving on. We have a huge consent agenda.
do.
So I may stop and ask.
Sure, go
just
ahead.
for
I can give you some
clarification in
high-level
between.
information also.
Okay.
you
Randy,
some high-level-
do we have to do our motion?
Let's
and
do the motion
Let's do
second
the
and go
motion?
through the
Okay.
items, yeah.
We need a motion to approve this consent agenda.
So moved.
And a second? Thank you. Randy?
All right, financials, these are actually fiscal year end. I'm going to bring you some data at our next meeting. I was hoping to for this one, but have had a few things that jumped in front of it. We ended the year really close to our 5-year forecast as projected in May. Very happy about that. I think the revenues came in a little above, and then the expenditures came in a little below, so a little win-win situation. And but I'll share that data with you at the next meeting.
Okay.
Moving down to the other items, I'm trying to point. I shouldn't do that. And Ms. Hauser, help me through
You
some
want me to?
of these.
So what you see on the consent agenda, you have quite a few of the contracts. These are contracts, it's compliance, working with Warren County ESC for student placement. If we do not have the services in-house, it's the contracts for Warren County to service some of our students. Also, a service agreement for some hearing and audiology services. You see, that's one of the first things. But really, the majority of these are for our students, individual student placements.
And the different educational service centers are because they each have a special area of focus, right?
Correct.
Yes.
What their goals are, they're better served at these, these facilities and education entities. So we have a contract on there with Hamilton County ESC, and that's really for our administrators to participate in some PD in Hamilton County ESC. Then you're going to see the athletic agendas in the consented agenda this meeting, and you'll see quite a few of our sports supplementals, which is routine. Our tennis, soccer, golf, cheer, it's that time of year. Personnel agenda, and that's it at the end of the, but it's, pretty much the routine and the contract, just there are multiples. We didn't meet, we canceled our last board meeting, so
Right.
it seems like we have quite a few this
And
time.
I'll just add that Exhibit 1 schedule of software services. That is with our A-Site Consortium, SWOCA, Southwest Ohio
Oh, yeah.
Computer Association, for all our financial software.
You have our contract with Butler County ESC for preschool on there, which is something that we have every year, right around this time of year.
Right, right. The Wellness Center, I'm curious about that. What is their focus at the Warren County ESC Wellness Center?
That's mental health.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mental health services for children.
okay. All right. Okay, so we're ready to take a vote on this unless there are questions. Are there any questions about any of these? Okay, then we're ready to take our
Start with
vote.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Snow?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Okay. Our next item, we moved personnel agenda B into consent. Is that on the new? Did you change that,
We
Randy?
moved that up to consent. since,
Because Chris wasn't here.
that's
Right.
correct.
Right. Okay, so our first item is a job description for the EMIS coordinator. Can you speak, one of you speak to a little bit about that?
I'd be
It's
happy.
in Randy's department, so.
Yep, we had a longtime employee retire at the end of the year, and we took the opportunity, the position that she had was Secretary to Student Services, secretarial position, and we decided to take a look at that and develop it a little bit more than what it currently is. And therefore, we've added the title EMIS Coordinator. In my department, I have the EMIS Administrator. This is a position somewhere between that secretarial position and the administrative position, where we'd like this position to not only learn the job that was currently being performed through student services, but start learning more of the EMIS data, which some of this did have an EMIS component to it, to be able to back up the EMIS Administrator in the event the EMIS Administrator would be out. We'd have some.
And can you just comment on what EMIS is?
Yeah, EMIS is actually our database. It's all the data we put into the systems for the state of Ohio to meet all the compliance there. EMIS is growing each and every year. They're like our federal government and state governments. They keep adding requirements to us and not taking anything away, so it's growing quite a bit. So we felt it was important adding some supports to EMIS as well within this position. And coming up on the modification of the salary schedule, just talk about that since it's in here as well. That will be the salary schedule. It's a salary schedule that we currently already have. And it includes the administrative secretary superintendent with additional duties, administrative secretary to curriculum with additional duties. And now we're adding EMIS coordinator to that. The pay basically starts just below the highest level of where that secretarial pay was and moves up to the bottom level of the EMIS administrator. So it's an in-between salary schedule.
Okay.
We felt that was fair with the added responsibilities this position's going to have. And just to add to it, we feel this position will be able to accomplish more things, learn more things because of the technology that's been gained in the last few years. They're going to be able to do that secretarial position faster than what it's been done in the past.
Okay.
So I'd like to add a comment about the EMIS work that's done within a district. I don't think a lot of people really realize the importance of the EMIS work that's done within your district. The EMIS work, the data that's collected, that's sent to the state, much of our funding depends on that EMIS reporting. So that is a very, very important role that a lot of people just really don't realize the importance of the EMIS work that takes place in a district.
And it's the Educational Management Information System. Last
Glad you
acronym
remember
have to
that.
learn now, Kathy.
I was trying to make it my own.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have to go back, and we have to do the job description. We have to have a motion.
We have the motion in the second, just need to vote on that one.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Snow?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Okay, now we need a motion and a second for the modification of the salary schedule.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mrs. Snow?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan? Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes. Our next item is a financial section, and it is a resolution authorizing an installment payment or lease purchase financing for the acquisition of permanent improvements, and this is specifically regarding the transportation project that is underway.
Yes, and we put specific language in there that we would not request more than $2 million and not to exceed a 15-year term limit. I don't foresee us going beyond 10 or 12 years, quite honestly, with some of the rates that we believe we're going to get in for this when we do put it out starting tomorrow. We believe we'll find an interest rate between 4 and 4.5, depending on the 15-year term. But affordability, I'm always one to go the least amount of years as long as it's in our wheelhouse. And I did budget about $285,000 payment per year for this project.
Okay. Any questions?
It just gives me the authority now to take this out and do what we need to do, and I'll bring back the final loan agreement at that time.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan? Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Ms. Snow?
Yes.
Okay. The next item is an interesting one that I wouldn't have any idea about, except Mr. Bertram explained it to me. A sewer agreement between Middletown City School District and Inclusive Housing Resources. Can you explain to them just like you explained to me?
I'll be happy to. There's a church that sits right by Creekview Elementary School, and there is a sewer system that comes in off the street into Creekview, and I think it's partially shared with the church as well. Well, the church wants to build a 4-unit home or apartment complex of some sort, and to be able to do that, they'll need access to the sewer system. This is just the agreement then to say, yep, it's okay, we've gone out, we've done the study, plenty of capacity to be able to build this 4-unit home for the church, but it outlines the responsibilities if there's any errors or breaks within that sewer system, whose responsibility it is to repair and fix that. And we did work with our legal counsel to get this done.
Okay. Any questions on that one?
No.
Okay.
Okay, motion and second.
Oh, yes, we need a motion to approve.
So moved for approval.
Second.
Thank you.
All right. Mrs. Mulligan? Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Snow?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is our food service contract. And again, it is going to be with Sodexo. Do you want to talk about that, what you told me, either one of you?
Yes. Sodexo, we actually put this out for bid this year, and we only had one response, happened to be Sodexo. I think the other companies are getting tired of trying to compete with them because they have done so well for us in the past. And it came in it's for the management services piece, which is $358,000.
358
Yeah,
and 859.
$358,000. It's about 3 to 3.5% higher than what it was last year. We have a guarantee of $1.1 million that they're going to bring into food service. If by chance it falls short, it comes out of that management fee. We pay that much less than a management fee. So it's a great agreement. As usual, they always make us money.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Oh, so moved.
Thank you. And second?
Second.
Thank you.
All right. Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mrs. Snow?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Okay. Now, under curriculum and innovation, we have the Strategic Advancement Corporate and Education Consulting regarding some training at Miller Ridge. And you want to speak to that?
Sure. So this contract stems from the work of the Miller Ridge Building Leadership Team. It's they would have training come into Miller Ridge, working with their building leadership team and their teachers. Also, there's a coaching component to develop leadership and culture within Miller Ridge. The contract is $5,700. And this is an organization that we're familiar with that has worked with other school districts. This is stemming from the work at Miller Ridge.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Mrs. Snow?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan? Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes. Okay. Now, we're finally at our committee reports. I don't know, I know the policy committee has met, but I don't know who else has met.
The School and City Committee has also met.
Okay.
Yep, so we have that. We have two district committees that have met. Do you want to, who wants to share about the policy committee?
Well, we're close to the end of many, many policies we looked at.
Never done so much reading in my life.
Yeah.
And
We,
they're all gone well. I mean,
Ye-
hassles. Some are more complicated than others.
Right. And we have worked in the area of the policies regarding students, school community relations, and support services. We have more to go. We'll be reading some more. Some things are still pending because of legal matters that haven't quite been figured out.
Legislative matters.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
a better way to put that.
Legislative, you're right, at the state level. So we're kind of waiting to get final information on that before we go to the trouble of writing a policy and then having to possibly change it again, so.
We get to the end, legislative details haven't been worked out, we're gonna go ahead and bring them, approve them, and then probably have to bring them right back, early in the news cycle.
So we're working hard on that.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're also working with OSBA, a representative out of OSBA that's guiding us and guiding the work. And we still, we've chipped off quite a few,
Yes,
but
we have.
we still have quite a few to go. Yeah.
Yes,
We'll be in a good place when we're finished, right?
It's
Yeah.
daunting.
And Kathy, if you still feel the need to read policies, we'll be glad to have you read them.
I let her off the hook already.
Oh, you did. And then we had the City and the Schools Committee meeting. That's our monthly meeting where we meet with the city manager and the mayor. So we're still working through with our SROs. You know, we've landed on a proposal with the city. I know they're going to be working with City Council to see if we can finalize our SRO plan by the beginning of school. So we're still working.
Okay. And then I guess it's time for any board reports. Anybody have anything that they've done or seen or heard or would like to talk about? Any news? Nothing?
Yes. Today, big day in Middletown. We had Mr. J.D. Vance here. I'm not sure if others have watched it streaming or attended the event itself, but I want to say congratulations to J.D. Vance. I believe he graduated here in 2003.
He did.
He's now vice presidential candidate. I've been following this. J.D.'s career has really taken off. He's spent 18 months in the Senate, and he's already a vice presidential candidate. So I'm going to issue a challenge to J.D. Vance, and I'm hoping that this gets onto the media. I watched the speech today, and J.D. Vance has said this several times in his public speeches. He also said this again today, that he would never forget where he came from.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so J.D. Vance, if you're watching, I want to issue a challenge to you. I don't want to hold you to that commitment. So today I'm asking J.D. Vance to commit a $5 million contribution as a partnership between Middletown City Schools and Miami University to create a school of public affairs that will serve our community here in Middletown, Ohio. This $5 million contribution that I'm asking will inspire the next generation of leaders in political science and public affairs to defend democracy, our Constitution, the rule of law, and to challenge students to engage in understanding foreign affairs and the economy. Now, there's been a lot of talk about these issues in the campaign, and Middletown needs help as we look to reinvent our district and the community. So I'm hoping that this idea will be taken seriously. JD has gotten a lot of a lot from this community. We talk about his book. That book helped in many ways to get him at the top of the ticket, talking about Middletown. And I think a $5 million contribution to help this community is valid and warranted. I'm also going to say if that's overly ambitious, how about giving us this? I would challenge that we have a matching fund that we can establish at the Middletown Community Foundation and to pursue for many of our students who are interested in public affairs and political science that we engage our business partners and others in this fund so that we can hold J.D. Vance accountable for saying that he's not going to forget this community. Many of our students I know are interested in public affairs and political science, and we need a new generation of leaders in this community and for the state of Ohio, and to be engaged in national affairs. So J.D. Vance, we're calling on you now. We're expecting you to support us here, but congratulations for being chosen as vice president. And I do hope that you will keep your word and remember those of us in Middletown, Ohio. Thank you very much.
He should have went last.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Hard one to beat.
I second Todd's.
I do too. I do too. Much has been made of, well, as I mentioned in my comment, hometown heroes come in all shapes and sizes. And they don't all get on the national news. Some of them are sitting right here next to me. And so I agree with Todd. I think that's a wonderful challenge. I agree. Don't forget where you came from. Thank you.
I'd just like to say I did have the privilege of taking time off this afternoon and attending the rally to see the celebration of JD and coming back home. And it was very enthusiastic. And, it doesn't matter what your party line is. Today was really a celebration of one of our graduates in 2003 and what he's been able to accomplish. Coming from, a very challenging life and overcoming all that. I want our kids to be enthused by that, to know they too can do it. There's been many, many, many that have come out of low points and have risen. Maybe not as high as Vice President of the United States, but we all measure our own success, and every one of our kids have the ability to do it. Today was exciting to see that we did have one in particular get to where he is, and I'm not a Middletonian other than the 10 years I've spent here. I feel like it is in my blood, and I do bleed purple now, and it sure made me proud, and all the locals that were there had to be even prouder. So I'd just like to say it felt like a celebration today more than it did a political rally.
I also was able to attend today to the rally, but the one thing I want to say is, remember when we were teaching, right? We're back in the classroom. Nita, you're still there, right? And I remember when I was a teacher and people would say to me, you never know. You may have the next president of the United States sitting in your classroom. And we always would think, what are the chances? But daggone, here it is, right? I mean, he's won the VP ticket, and like Randy said, it doesn't matter what your political, it's an accomplishment. And also, he's one that has graduated from Middletown High School. He's one of us. So the celebration, and also we always say to our children and our students, and our own personal children, you can be whatever you want to be. And sometimes I think that they think, yeah, well, yeah, right. But this is a perfect example of hard work, dedication, persistence, and just keep moving forward. It's a celebration that we can always say, look, this is what happens when you work hard. So that's a very proud moment for Middletown City Schools. We have lots and lots and lots of talent that has gone on, and this is just one that this is new. And, as a previous teacher, here's the example. And he could be the president of the United States. You never know, but it's very close. So it was a celebration. Everyone really pulled together this afternoon, the outside entities to pull that off. So it was a celebration. So I'm very proud of Middletown Schools and, what was represented today.
There's more education than state test scores.
There you go. It was life experience. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
A second?
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
That was my last second.
That's your
That
last
was your
second?
last second.